The millionaire uncovers the secret in the bag of a black beggar banished by her own daughter. Under the flickering neon lights of the city, Lourdes sat on the cold, unyielding pavement, her heart heavy with despair. To the passers-by, she was nothing more than a black beggar, dressed in tattered clothes, clutching a ragged bag that seemed to have seen better days. Few noticed the glint of a gold locket nestled deep within its confines, a locket containing secrets worth millions. The luxury represented by the hidden treasures was starkly juxtaposed to her current misery. Whispers filled the streets, excited murmurs about a millionaire who had appeared out of nowhere, prowling through the city with sharp eyes, seeking hidden gems in the shadows. On that fateful evening, it was as though the universe had orchestrated a cruel twist of fate. The millionaire, a man cloaked in tailored suits and polished shoes, strolled by just as Lourdes rummaged through her bag, desperate for a scrap. In a moment of selfishness, Patricia had banished her mother, and Lourdes was left to navigate this new, harsh reality. Little did anyone know, hidden beneath her layers of despair lay the potential for a life of luxury. A plot of land her late father had left her, now worth a fortune. As Sister Celia, a compassionate nun, pulled Lourdes back from the brink of hopelessness, compassion became an unfamiliar yet welcome companion. Within the nursing home, Lourdes found solace among the elderly residents who spoke tales of love and loss. Each story felt like a thread weaving itself back into her fractured heart. But beyond the newfound camaraderie, she concealed her treasure, believing it was best to safeguard her intentions. After all, what was wealth if not another chain to bind her? Meanwhile, Patricia's journey had taken a drastic turn. Her unquenchable ambition had led to a financial crisis of her own. The lights of the city had dimmed, and the struggle for success was turning down. Lourdes was no longer the submissive woman who had once devoted herself to a daughter blinded by ambition. Now, she stood proud, the quiet strength of her perseverance shimmering like the precious locket left hidden in her bag. The air crackled with tension, the pulse of a reckoning between them. Patricia, grappling with the ghost of yearning and the woman before her, confident, unyielding, transformed. Had Patricia lost everything that truly mattered in her race to acquire more? With her mind swirling, she was left wondering, was their moment of reconciliation the beginning of healing, or the prelude to a deeper fracture? Hey, before we continue with this incredible story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without prior notice. Take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you are still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content coming up. And since you're H, I love getting to know every amazing person who is part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. Lourdes and Patricia stood frozen in an electric silence, the air thick with unspoken words and a lifetime of hurt. Lourdes couldn't recognize the woman before her, and Patricia, well, she couldn't recognize herself. "What happened to you, Mom?" Patricia's voice trembled, desperation woven into every syllable. Lourdes opened her mouth to respond, but the words slipped away. Just then, the street shook with a sudden jolt. A deafening explosion echoed down the block, followed by chaos erupting around them. People screamed, voices rising in panic, and the world morphed into a swirl of hurried bodies and flailing arms. A cloud of dust and debris filled the air. Lourdes stumbled, instinctively grabbing Patricia's arm. "Run!" Patricia shouted, pulling her mother away from the broken pavement splintering beneath their feet. They dashed through the crowd, pushing past strangers engulfed in fear, eyes wide terror. But then, as they made their way down the street, something caught Lourdes' eye. A figure, obscured by smoke, stood beside a sleek black car parked half on the sidewalk. All at once, a familiar face appeared through the chaos. It was a man. Middle-aged, with sharp features and dark glasses, his expression unreadable. "Lourdes!" he bellowed, voice cutting through the panic. The world became a muted backdrop as her pulse quickened. "You need to come with me!" Lourdes felt the weight of Patricia's unsure grip on her arm. "Who is that?" her daughter whispered, eyes darting between the man and her mother. "Jack," Lourdes murmured, heart racing. "My father's old business partner." "Why now?" Patricia demanded, her voice a cracked whisper. "Why after all this time?" But before Lourdes could answer, Jack gestured urgently, stepping forward from the shadows. "We don't have time. It's about the locket, the one you keep hidden." Panic washed over Lourdes. "What do you know about it?" she asked, her voice shaking. "We'll explain everything later, but you need to trust me right now," he insisted, urgency lacing every word. "Your life and your mother's have been at stake for a long time, and it's just been uncovered." Patricia frowned, a storm of confusion swirling in her gaze. "What stake? What are you talking about?" But Jack didn't answer her. Instead, he pushed through the panicked crowd, leading Lourdes with purpose. Suddenly, an explosion of sound erupted from the black car, shattering glass and sending a wave of heat toward them. It was an attack. Whoever did this had come for something or someone, and Lourdes felt the air rush from her lungs. "Run!" Jack yelled, as he pulled Lourdes into the car's cramped back seat, adrenaline pulsing. Patricia hesitated, standing at the door, torn between following and fighting. The weight of revelations hung heavy, teetering at the brink of her understanding. "Patricia, get in!" Lourdes called, her heart pounding. As Patricia reluctantly climbed in, the world around them blurred into a chaotic blend of noise and confusion. The engine roared to life just as the shadows of more figures flooded the street. Jack slammed the gas pedal down, and they shot forward, leaving the chaos behind. But as they sped away, Patricia's breath caught. "What is going on? What's this all about?" Jack's gaze flicked to the rearview mirror. "It's more than just a locket. It's about your family, about your mother's past. Everything you thought you knew is about to change." Every pulse in Lourdes' body screamed with the urgency of buried secrets clawing to the surface. The city lights became a blur, but within that blur, the tension built. They were hurtling toward danger, and the truth remained just out of reach. What had Jack uncovered? What would this mean for Lourdes and Patricia? The air thickened with unease, and all they had were questions. Questions that hung heavy, promising nothing short of a reckoning. The car raced forward, tires screeching against the asphalt, but the chaos outside echoed in Lourdes' mind. Each beat of her heart, a reminder of the life she had lost, and now possibly found again. She could feel Patricia's eyes burning into her, a mix of confusion, anger, and fear. "Mom, what locket? What's happening?" Patricia's voice was frantic, each question sharper than the last. Lourdes opened her mouth, desperate to explain, blood pounding in her ears, but words slipped through her fingers like grains of sand. Jack's grip tightened on the wheel. "Just hold on. We need to get to a safe place." His tone held an urgency that didn't sit well with Lourdes. The way he'd burst into their lives felt too planned, too calculated. She couldn't shake the feeling that everything was teetering on the edge of a cliff. "Safe from what?" Patricia asked, her voice rising with every syllable. Jack glanced back, his expression stern. "From the people who want the locket. It's not just a locket. It's a key." "A key to what?" Patricia interjected, panic cresting. "Mom, please, you need to tell me." But before Lourdes could respond, the street ahead shattered into flames. A van careened into their lane, flames licking the air as an explosion erupted at the vehicle's rear. Fear gripped them, heat whipping into the car like an angry beast. Jack swerved, muscles tense, jaw clenched. "Get down!" he shouted through gritted teeth. They ducked instinctively, eyes squeezed shut as glass shattered around them. The world outside was chaos, a war zone. Patrons turned into fleeing shadows. Screams became a symphony of desperation. Just when Lourdes thought they might escape, her heart sank. A black figure appeared through the smoke, tall and menacing, standing with the confidence of someone who belonged. "You can't hide from us, Lourdes," bellowed a voice she recognized, a voice from the past that clawed at her heart. "Who is that?" Patricia hissed, digging her nails into her mother's arm. "Mark," Lourdes whispered, shock ricocheting through her. The man who had once been held dear, now an enemy. He was my husband's associate." "Associate?" Patricia shrieked. "More like an enemy. What did you get into?" "That locket," Jack shouted. "It's connected to something much bigger, more dangerous." But before they could grapple with the horror dawning on them, Mark stepped forward, blocking their path, laughing darkly. "You think running will save you? You betrayed us, Lourdes. Now you pay the price." With a swift gesture, he clapped his hands in signal. The air crackled, and a thunderous roar followed, the sound of engines revving. A convoy of black vehicles appeared behind him, engines growling like hungry wolves. "No!" Lourdes gasped, the world tilting. She closed her eyes, despair mingling with rage. What do you want from me?" Mark grinned, a chilling smile that transformed his features into something monstrous. "The truth about that locket. And right now, Patricia, you're in major trouble too. You have no idea what you're really part of." Lourdes felt ice course through her veins. Panic tightened around her chest. She turned to Patricia, eyes wide, a mirror of her own horror. "What does he mean?" Before a response could surface, Jack slammed on the brakes. The car screeched to a halt, tires screaming. "We can't stay here." He turned to them, desperation flickering in his eyes. "We're running out of time. We need to act now. Trust me." But trust hung heavy in the air, like a cloud ready to burst. They could feel the shadows closing in, their faces illuminated by the glow of the flames. This wasn't just about the locket anymore. This was about family, betrayal, and secrets that had festered for too long. What lies lay hidden? What relationships were forged in darkness? The answer slipped through Lourdes's mind as fear wrapped its claws around her heart. And as they sat frozen in that car, the harsh reality crept closer, ready to devour them whole. Patricia's eyes met hers, searching. "Mom?" But the question hung in the air, unanswered and limitless, a dark echo that threatened to unravel everything they thought they knew. The car's engine roared like a beast, rattling Lourdes's nerves. Jack's hands were white-knuckled on the wheel, eyes darting between the rearview mirror and the fiery chaos behind them. The world outside felt distorted, each face a blur of fear and confusion. But for Lourdes, all that mattered was Patricia's terrified gaze, wide with dread. "Mom!" Patricia shouted again, shaking her. "What is happening?" The questions hung in the air, thick with disbelief. Jack turned slightly, urgency etched into his features. "Whatever's in that locket connects to your family's secrets, and they're the reason for all this trouble." "Secrets?" Patricia echoed, panic rising. The words felt foreign, heavy with implications. "What do you mean?" Before a response could form, the sound of engines thundered behind them, drowning out the screams that faded into the distance. The convoy of black vehicles, like vultures circling their prey, drew nearer, headlights piercing through the twilight. "Damn it," Jack cursed, navigating the street with a speed that felt reckless. Lourdes felt the weight of the moment. This was her life, hanging in the balance. She had to protect Patricia. Tears stung her eyes. "I don't know what's in the locket," she cried, the intensity collapsing upon her. "I just wanted to protect you." Suddenly, the dashboard lights flickered, and the ominous beeping filled the air. Jack's eyes widened in realization. "We've got a problem." Before anyone could respond, a blinding flash erupted from behind them. A devastating wave of heat blasted into the car, followed by a shattering explosion. Glass rained down like confetti around them. The shock sent them sprawling, and for a moment, time stood still. Heartbeats echoed in their ears. "Are you okay?" Patricia gasped, her arm around her mother. Jack coughed, staring through the dust and debris swirling within the car, his face pale. "We have to get out, now!" As they scrambled to push the door open, another frightening reality settled on Lourdes. Above the roar of destruction outside came a chilling voice, deep and familiar. "You think running will save you, Lourdes? You've played your hand poorly, my dear." Lourdes froze, heart almost stopping. No, it can't be. Emerging from the wreckage was Mark, his figure a menacing silhouette. But he wasn't alone. Beside him stood Patricia's father, a man she had believed long gone from their lives. The shock sent a jolt through her, exploding the carefully constructed barriers of her heart. "Dad?" Patricia's voice cracked, every word a raw splinter tearing into the silence. "What are you doing here?" Mark grinned, an all-knowing, twisted smile. "Looks like the family reunion got a little messy, huh? And here I thought you'd never find your way home. Why?" Now Patricia's voice was laced with anguish and anger. "Why are you doing this?" Lourdes felt the ground shift beneath her, a chasm tearing open in the fabric of her reality. "You knew," she whispered, looking from Mark to her husband, left breathless by his betrayal. "This was all a plan?" Her husband stepped forward, steel in his eyes. "I had to protect my interests. Our interests." The double meaning vibrated in the air. Patricia shook with rage. "What interests? You've abandoned us both!" Mark laughed softly, a dark melody that sent chills down their spines. "Oh, but you've always been part of this dance, Patricia. You just didn't know the music." The truth sank like lead, heavy and suffocating. Betrayal twisted through the air, wrapping around them like a noose. The locket, the secrets, the chaos, they all converged in that terrible moment. "Get back," Jack shouted, eyes fierce, positioning himself protectively in front of the two women. "You won't touch them." But Mark's eyes glinted, sharp and malicious. "You still don't understand, do you? You're all just pieces on a chessboard. Now, my dear," he continued, directly addressing Lourdes, "it's time you chose the right side." In this tangled mess of shattered lives and hidden truths, Lourdes's heart raced. Deep down, everything she thought she knew was crumbling, and as her gaze met Patricia's, the weight of what lay ahead throbbed painfully. "Mom," Patricia whispered, desperation coating her every word. But the expression in Lourdes's eyes spoke volumes. Everything was about to change. What would happen next? What hidden truths would emerge? The reality they faced shimmered with uncertainty. And all that was left was confusion, hanging in the air like a dark shadow waiting to engulf them. The tension hung thick in the air, wrapping around them like a suffocating blanket. Lourdes felt her heart race as Mark's menacing presence loomed. The truth was bleeding into the world outside, and with it, chaos reigned. Jack stood firm, a barrier between them and the unfolding disaster. Patricia's breath hitched, fear stealing her voice, the silence punctuated by the hammering of her heart. "What do you want?" Patricia shouted, shaking with rage, her eyes darting between her parents. "You can't just come back into our lives like this." Mark stepped closer, a chilling smile creeping across his face. "I want what's rightfully mine," he hissed, his gaze flickering to the locket that weighed heavily in Lourdes's bag. "And it won't end well for you if you insist on keeping it." "Don't do this, Mark," Lourdes pleaded, fear clawing at her throat. You were family." "Family." His laughter echoed, dark and bitter. "Family is nothing more than a cover for betrayal, and you, Lourdes, have turned betrayals into an art form." Tension crackled between them, and suddenly Jack shouted, "Get back!" Just as he lunged forward to protect them, everything erupted into chaos. A deafening crash rang out, and a freight train of sound barreled toward them from behind. A blinding light burst across the street. A car bomb detonated nearby. Fire and metal cascaded through the air, shaking the ground beneath their feet. Shrapnel flew in every direction, slamming into parked cars and sending flames licking up into the night sky. "Run!" Jack screamed, grasping Lourdes and Patricia. His voice raw with urgency. They stumbled back as heat washed over them like a wave, disorienting and terrifying. But through the chaos, amidst screams and chaos, a figure emerged from the glowing inferno. It approached slowly, a nightmarish silhouette framed by the flames. "Lourdes!" the voice thundered, imposing and cold. It was a voice Lourdes recognized, but wished to forget. Her long-lost sister's, Isabella. The woman she had thought dead for years, lost in the wreckage of their family's disastrous past. "Isabella," Lourdes gasped, the name a whisper of disbelief. "You're alive?" "Of course I am," Isabella sneered, stepping forward, her eyes burning with a fury that twisted her features. "And I've come for what belongs to me." "What? You're out of your mind!" Patricia's face twisted in shock. "You—" But before she could finish, Isabella's hand shot out, revealing a small glimmering object. It was another locket, intricately designed like the one Lourdes carried. "You think you've been keeping secrets? You don't even know the half of it. That locket isn't what you think. It's just the tip of the iceberg." "What do you mean?" Lourdes's heart raced, the words tumbling out in desperation. With a chilling grin, Isabella held the shiny locket closer, exposing its exquisite detail in the harsh light of the flaming wreckage. "This locket holds the key to a fortune." Gasps erupted from the gathering crowd. Eyes widened. People murmured in disbelief. Just then, Mark's expression shifted. Darkness brewing beneath his composed exterior. "You don't know what you're meddling with, Isabella," he warned, his voice lowered to a growl. But there was more. A bombshell truth lingered, unresolved. With a flick of her wrist, Isabella tossed the locket into the air, and in that instant, everything changed. A flash of light erupted as it struck the ground, and suddenly the world twisted and spun. There, swirling within the light, visions filled Lourdes's mind. Memories she never lived, secrets twisted into lies, and the truth of their family torn apart by greed, ambition, and betrayal. "Stop it!" Jack shouted, reaching for the light, but it consumed them all. Lourdes, Patricia, Mark, Jack, and Isabella. The air thickened, time distorted, and reality unraveled. In that moment of blinding clarity, Lourdes felt something shift within her. The very essence of everything she believed shattered like glass, leaving her raw and vulnerable. When the bright light faded, they found themselves somewhere else, a realm untouched, yet familiar. Shadows flickered, a low whisper curling through the air. What just happened? Who were they now? The mystery clung thick around them, and as everything she had known teetered on the edge of an abyss, what secrets had been unleashed? What would they reveal about the lives they thought they understood? The echo of possibilities loomed, and in the silence that followed, every heartbeat resonated with doubt and urgency. The air around them swirled, heavy with a tension that seemed to hang like a fog. Lourdes stood, heart racing, trying to take in the chaos they'd just escaped. The world around them flickered. It was disorienting, as if they had been thrown into a dream. "Where are we?" Patricia whispered, fear creeping into her voice. Her eyes darted from Mark to Isabella, confusion etched into her face. "No idea," Lourdes replied, her heart pounding. The surroundings flickered with an eerie glow. Trees twisted and strange shadows danced in the corners of her eye. It felt unreal. "Mom, we need to get out of here." Patricia's voice was sharp, drowning in urgency. The familiar warmth she had felt toward her father was gone, replaced by cold fear. Jack's eyes widened, looking at them both. "We need to figure out what's happening," he said, glancing at the strange environment around them. "This isn't safe." Suddenly, a faint laughter echoed throughout the shadowy space, a sound that sent chills down Lourdes' spine. It was low and sinister, a mocking tune that crept into her bones. "Oh, my dear family, you have no idea what you stumbled into." They all turned, eyes wide. There, emerging from the shadows, was another figure, a man, slender with an almost ghostly appearance. He wore a sharp suit, and his pale smile was both charming and unnerving. "Who are you?" Jack demanded, instinctively stepping closer to protect Lourdes and Patricia. The man tilted his head, eyes glittering. "I am Victor, and I've been waiting for this reunion." His voice dripped with an unsettling calm. "What do you want?" Lourdes felt her voice tremble, but she pressed on. "What do you know about the lockets?" Victor let out a low chuckle, a sound that twisted in the air. "Those trinkets, my dear, they're more than mere jewelry. They are the key to the family legacy, hidden truths that could tear you all apart, or bind you in ways you never imagined." Confusion swirled around Lourdes. "What do you mean?" Before Victor could respond, the light shifted and the air thickened. A rush of warmth enveloped them, and suddenly an image blossomed before their eyes. It was a scene from the past, a lavish family gathering, laughter echoing, but mixed with tension. Lourdes recognized her father, vibrant and full of life. But there was another figure, a woman, strikingly beautiful, with an all-too-familiar face. "Is that?" Lourdes's breath caught in her throat. "Yes, that's me." Isabella's voice rang through the air, startling everyone. "You see, I wasn't lost all those years. I was hidden. From you, from everyone." "What are you saying?" Patricia's voice cracked, her face pale. "And I'm not the only one," Victor interrupted, his eyes twinkling with mischief. "There are others, lurking in the shadows. Your family tree is a tangled web, and I've come to untangle it." "What do you mean, others?" Lourdes's heart thundered. The secrets were spiraling, and she could feel the ground shifting beneath her. Victor smirked, stepping closer. "Your mother, Lourdes, made certain choices to protect her legacy, and now the time has come for those choices to be revealed. Choices that had repercussions you can't even fathom." Before Lourdes could respond, the ground quaked violently. It shook, and the ground began to split. A deep chasm opened, swallowing the light, the laughter turning into shattered echoes. "Hold on!" Jack shouted, grabbing Patricia and Lourdes' arms, yanking them back just as the rift swallowed a piece of the world they knew. "There's much more to uncover, secrets that'll change everything." Victor's laugh filled the air as he began fading into darkness. "Remember, family isn't just blood." Then, in a flash, everything went dark, pitches of black crumbling into solitude, leaving Lourdes alone with the final remnants of fear clawing at her. What had just happened? What had she lost in that uncertain moment? Silence stretched painfully, and a chill seeped into her bones. Everything had shifted, and now it felt like the world was collapsing. Would they survive this unraveling? Could they fight back against the darkness emerging from their past? She felt the weight of her uncertainty, heavy and crushing, looming over them like the shadows still lurking in the corners of the unknown. Would they be whole again? Would they find the strength to confront whatever lay ahead? Lourdes stood in the thick darkness, heart pounding, panic wrapped around her. Where was everyone? She felt the lingering weight of Mark's laughter echoing in her head. A taunt that danced like shadows in her mind. Everything felt wrong, twisted. She could still see Patricia's scared face, Jack's protective stance. Suddenly the air shifted. It became colder, a chill creeping into her bones. The darkness around them thickened, pressing in tighter. "What is going on?" she whispered, her voice trembling. Stay close, Jack said, grabbing Patricia's hand. We need to find a way out of here. But before they could move, a blinding light pierced the shadows. It was almost too bright, like staring into the sun. Lourdes shielded her eyes, heart racing. What was happening? The light pulsed, and in a flash, a figure appeared. It was familiar, a woman, her face hauntingly close to Lourdes' own. When the brightness dimmed, Lourdes' breath caught. It was her mother standing there, just as she had in old photographs. "Mom?" Lourdes breathed out, heart twisting. "Lourdes," her mother spoke, voice soft yet filled with authority. "We don't have much time." "What are you doing here?" Patricia said, her voice sharp with disbelief. "You're not the ghost you thought I was," the woman interrupted, her gaze piercing straight into Lourdes. "I'm here for the truth." "Truth?" Jack echoed, eyes darting between the women. "What truth?" Then it happened. The ground beneath them trembled violently. Lourdes felt a wave of heat wash over her, faster than the beat of her heart. The ground split open, revealing a chasm filled with glowing embers. "No!" Patricia screamed, stumbling backward. Lourdes reached out as her mother started to fade. "Mom, stay with us." But the light shimmered, distorting the space around them. "You must choose." Her mother's voice cried, growing distant, echoing like a haunting melody. "Choose what?" Lourdes shouted, panic rising. "Choose what family means to you." Before anyone could respond, the chasm erupted with blinding flames, and a shockwave sent them tumbling backward. The world spun, a whirlpool of fear, fire, and fury. When the chaos subsided, they found themselves standing in an unfamiliar landscape. It wasn't the void anymore. It was a familiar street, their street. But covered in shadows, everything felt eerily serene, yet wrong. "What just happened?" Patricia's voice shook. Then, in a shocking twist of fate, they saw him. A man stood at the end of the street. The man Lourdes had thought she'd lost forever. It was her father, looking just the way she remembered him, filled with warmth, but tinged with sadness. "Dad?" she breathed, laughter laced with tears. "Lourdes, my little girl," he said, his voice a tender caress over empty space. He took a step forward, and everything in her heart screamed, "You need to understand." "Understand what?" Lourdes demanded, confusion thick in the air. "Where have you been?" "Things are not what they seem," he replied, and a shadow crossed his face. "There are secrets buried beneath the surface, and I made choices to protect you." "What choices?" Patricia shouted, her frustration bubbling over. "You left us! You abandoned us!" "No!" His voice boomed, rising above the chaos. "I had to keep you safe." The shadows shifted, shapes emerged behind him. Figures from the past, each one a thread in the tangled web of their family. Each face brought memories flooding back, whispering promises and lies. Lourdes' heart sank deeper with each familiar face. "This isn't real, isn't it?" her father replied, stepping back into the shades. Suddenly, he raised a trembling hand, revealing a small shimmering object, a locket identical to the one Lourdes kept hidden. "Where did you get that?" Lourdes gasped, her heart racing. "I never meant for them to find it," he whispered, and the truth brought a chill more intense than before. "Find what?" Jack pressed, a wall of anger forming around him. "Your mother. She knew everything." "What?" Patricia gasped, her voice barely a whisper. "I made decisions that put all of you in danger. I had to leave when the truth became too dangerous." The world around them started crumbling. Everything fell away as secrets spilled like ink on paper, muddling the air with tension and betrayal. "Mom, what did you do?" Lourdes felt the weight of everything shifting. The reality they had grasped so tightly was slipping away, replaced by a web of epicenters far too tangled to untie. "Choose wisely, my daughters." His voice faded, intertwining with the swirling darkness, leaving them in the grip of uncertainty. What past was emerging? What new truths awaited them? In unity or division? The answer lingered like a ghost, haunting the threads of their fates. Lourdes stood frozen, her heart racing, confusion sweeping over her like a tidal wave. She turned to Patricia, wide-eyed, the realization dawning that everything they thought they knew was about to fracture into even more chaos. But before she could utter a word, the ground vibrated beneath them, shaking fiercely as if the earth itself wanted to splinter apart. Suddenly, a blinding light enveloped them again. It felt like the sun had exploded, casting strange shadows that warped the familiar. A piercing scream cut through the chaos, a woman's scream. Lourdes turned, panic knotting in her stomach. But when the light began to fade, those shadowy figures turned into discernible forms, a kaleidoscope of familiar faces. "Mom!" Patricia's voice broke as she pointed to the fading light. The silhouettes twisted until one face came into sharp focus. Isabella, her expression torn with fury and desperation. "Enough of this!" Isabella shouted, her voice unraveling from the edges of madness. "You think this is just about the locket, the fortune? Family? You are all fools!" The words sent chills down Lourdes' spine, each syllable heavy with accusation. Hadn't they fought hard enough? Mark stepped closer, eyes narrowing. "What are you talking about? We are all in this together." Isabella laughed, dark and hollow, her voice echoing ominously. "You think you're united? You think blood matters? I've seen what this family hides. This has always been about more than that." "About what?" Jack interjected, frustration boiling over. "About power." Isabella's gaze flicked to Patricia, a warped smile curling on her lips. "The power that lies buried in what you think is the past, inside you." In an instant, the air thickened around them, darkness twisting into reality. The shadows echoed shared secrets, a blend of dread and desire. Then it happened. A surge of energy shot through the ground. Lourdes gasped, stepping back from the ominous crack that had begun to form, a scorching ribbon of molten light bursting forth. "Isabella, stop!" Lourdes shouted, desperate to return to the safety they'd fought for. "We have to stick together." But Isabella's gaze burned bright. "It's too late, Lourdes. Did you honestly think your mother was the only one with secrets?" In that moment, the earth split open, and from the gaping chasm erupted a figure cloaked in shadow. Silent whispers swept through the air, chilling Lourdes to the core. It emerged from the darkness, a man with eyes blazing like molten iron. "Who are you?" Patricia trembled, stepping closer to Jack. "Your past," the man rasped, voice carrying the weight of time itself. "And your future." A collective gasp filled the air as memories burst forth from the ground. Flashes of moments long buried seeped into the space around them. Love, loss, betrayal. And yet, as the dust settled, the face of the man began to solidify. An older version of Lourdes, marked with the hardship of a life she had never lived. "Mom?" Lourdes felt the ground shift beneath her feet, her heart racing. "What is happening?" "Surprise!" the older Lourdes grinned, her eyes flickering with an eerie familiarity. "You always wanted to know the truth. Well, you found it." The recognition settled like lead in Lourdes' stomach. Emotions roared inside her. Fear, confusion, and then clarity surged forward. "No, it cannot be. You can't be." The elderly figure laughed, a sound like crumbling glass. "I am, and I'm here to show you the legacy you always ran from, the secrets buried deep inside you. It's time to reclaim what's yours." The words landed like a hammer, breaking apart the tentative bond they had tried so desperately to build. In that shocking moment, everything twisted, relationships contorted, and the truth sharpened, knives spinning in the air as their universe cracked wide open. "Mom, what does she mean?" Patricia shouted, grasping Lourdes' arm, her voice ragged with betrayal. But confusion engulfed them, the air thick with shock. As the shadows twisted and screamed around them, the revelation hung, heavy and raw, ready to explode. Was their mother truly gone? Had everything been a lie? And as the ground roared again, a new uncertainty surged through Lourdes. What price would they have to pay to uncover the truth? Lourdes stood frozen, her heart racing, confusion sweeping over her like a tidal wave. She turned to Patricia, wide-eyed, the realization dawning that everything they thought they knew was about to fracture into even more chaos. But before she could utter a word, the ground vibrated beneath them, shaking fiercely as if the earth itself wanted to splinter apart. Suddenly, a blinding light enveloped them again. It felt like the sun had exploded, casting strange shadows that warped the familiar. A piercing scream cut through the chaos. A woman's scream. Lourdes turned, panic knotting in her stomach. But when the light began to fade, those shadowy figures turned into discernible forms, a kaleidoscope of familiar faces. "Mom!" Patricia's voice broke as she pointed to the fading light. The silhouettes twisted until one face came into sharp focus. Isabella, her expression torn with fury and desperation. "Enough of this!" Isabella shouted, her voice unraveling from the edges of madness. "You think this is just about the locket, the fortune, family? You are all fools." The words sent chills down Lourdes' spine, each syllable heavy with accusation. Hadn't they fought hard enough? Mark stepped closer, eyes narrowing. "What are you talking about? We are all in this together." Isabella laughed, dark and hollow, her voice echoing ominously. "You think you're united? You think blood matters? I've seen what this family hides. This has always been about more than that." "About what?" Jack interjected, a wall of anger forming around him. "About power." Isabella's gaze flicked to Patricia, a warped smile curling on her lips. "The power that lies buried in what you think is the past, inside you." In an instant, the air thickened around them. Darkness twisting into reality. The shadows echoed shared secrets, a blend of dread and desire. Suddenly, the ground trembled violently. It shook, and the earth began to split. A deep chasm opened, swallowing the light, and from it a loud, hollow sound rumbled. Lourdes felt her stomach drop. "What is happening?" Patricia shouted, hairs standing on end. But before anyone could respond, the chasm erupted, spewing forth a dark, spiraling mist and an overwhelming force of wind that knocked them off their feet. As the dust settled, a figure emerged from the swirling shadows. Tall, cloaked in darkness, their features obscured. Heart pounding, Lourdes squinted. "Who are you?" The figure stepped closer, revealing gouged skin and eyes glowing like embers. "You've all been so wrapped up in your family drama, but I'm here to free you." "Free us?" Jack stammered, a mix of defiance and fear on his face. "Yes, free you from your chains." The figure raised a hand, and with a flick, a rush of energy pulsed through the air. Lourdes felt it slice through her, as if something within was being unraveled. Then, everything shifted. The ground split wider, revealing old photographs of their family, moments frozen in time, floating up like leaves caught in a storm. Familiar faces twisted into horrid grimaces, betrayals and lies played out like a movie they couldn't escape. "Mom, I don't understand." Patricia screamed over the noise, clutching her mother's arm. A piercing revelation struck Lourdes. "What have you done?" she shouted at the figure. "What are you trying to show us?" "Only the truth," the figure hissed, and in a flash, their hood fell back, revealing a face Lourdes recognized but never expected to see. Her own. "I'm you, and I'm here to expose your darkest secrets." The world around them froze. "Impossible," Lourdes gasped, eyes wide with disbelief. "How can you be me?" "Because I am you, the part you've hidden away, the truth you refuse to see." As the reality of those words hit her, panic surged anew. Everything she thought she understood was now an elaborate lie. The shadows twisted, the laughter of her family fading into a heart-stopping silence. "Mom," Patricia whispered, her voice barely audible. But the figure only smiled, the same grin she wore in the mirror each morning. "It's time to confront yourself and decide what you really want. Power or family? Truth or silence? The choice is yours." With that, the ground began to shatter around them, and as the searing light engulfed everything, Lourdes stood on the edge of a cliff, heart racing, teetering between love and betrayal, unsure of which path she would choose and what secrets would still remain hidden. Lourdes stood at the edge, her heart racing. The echo of her mother's voice lingered, searching through the cracks of her past and present. She felt the pull of both truth and family, a storm brewing within her. In that moment of chaos, everything collided, the past bursting forth, secrets begging to be unveiled. "Enough!" she shouted, her voice cracking against the backdrop of swirling darkness. She took a step forward, determined, refusing to let fear dictate her choice. "I won't run anymore." Patricia's grip tightened on her arm, fear flashing in her eyes. "Mom, be careful." But Lourdes felt a sudden clarity wash over her, like a refreshing wind sweeping through her mind. "Patricia, we can't hide from this. All those lies, they don't define us." The shadowy figure faltered, surprise flickering in its eyes. Maybe they weren't just victims of a twisted destiny. Jack stepped beside them, strength radiating as he put a protective hand on Patricia's back. "We're in this together. Whatever truth comes, we face it as a family." With that vow, the light surrounding them pulsed, resonating with a newfound energy. The swirling mist began to ebb, revealing scenes from their lives, moments of shared laughter, grief, and love. It flashed through the landscape, painting portraits of their struggles, a testament to the bond they shared. "See," the figure whispered, its voice echoing with warmth. "This is who you truly are. You fought for each other through the pain." Tears slipped down Lourdes's cheeks as clarity washed over her. Love had always been at the core of their battles, the heart of their struggles. Betrayal would not win today. With every ounce of determination, she turned to the figure. "We choose connection. We won't let darkness define us. No more secrets." The air vibrated, and shadows began to dissolve. The figure, once threatening, shifted between anger and something softer. Relief, perhaps. "You have the power to rewrite your story." In that instant, the world realigned, and light burst forth, enveloping them all. Patricia clutched her mother tightly, while Jack held his breath, eyes wide. The past faded slowly, the remnants of betrayal dissolving like fog in the morning sun. Then they stood in their familiar living room, warm light streaming through the windows, spilling onto smiling faces. Family once more. The room felt safe, alive with laughter. The darkness lifted. "Mom, what just happened?" Patricia breathed, looking around in disbelief. "We chose our truth," Lourdes said, wiping her tears away, a smile breaking through the shadows. "We decided who we are. Let's never go down that path again." Jack nodded, grounding them in the moment. "We rebuild together," Patricia added, finally allowing her fear to melt away. In that embrace, warmth wrapped around them, a promise that this family would thrive despite the scars of their past. But just as they began to breathe easy, a flicker caught their eyes. On the table lay 2 lockets, shimmering with secrets still undisclosed. A shiver passed through Lourdes as uncertainty crept back in. "What now?" she whispered, the question hanging heavy in the air. And with those words, the room filled with tension once more, the future shimmering with both hope and mystery. Would they dig deeper into the past? What other secrets remained? The question loomed, echoing a silent challenge, daring them forward. If you're feeling the pulse of this story, you need to subscribe now. Don't miss any of our upcoming exclusive content. Smash that like button to make sure we keep this energy alive, and flood the comments with your thoughts and theories. You can shape our next journey. Share this video instantly with 5 friends who crave these thrilling tales. This is the moment to show your support and be part of our incredible community. Don't wait 1 second more.